You hear about the great economy and the growth of businesses, and then you land in some place where you see nothing but empty storefronts and you don't see any of this excitement around entrepreneurship and growing businesses.
What has made this country so amazingly successful has been that it was a land of entrepreneurs. It was a startup nation that long ago.
That entrepreneurial spirit is such a closely tied in part of our identity as a country that if we lose that, we really have lost one of the key ingredients of our national identity. We used to just assume that entrepreneurship was going to be baked into the economic equation, and the Great Recession wiped all that out for millions of Americans.
Now, there's this invisible crisis in entrepreneurship in this country.
When you have a deep financial shock that ripples throughout the economy, that wipes out people's savings, that destroys their credit, that has a deep impact on who's willing to take the risk of starting a new business.
For the first time in our history, the business closure rate or business fail rate exceeded the business start rate. It's really less about businesses failing and more about the fact that we aren't starting new businesses.
There are fewer people becoming entrepreneurs today. There's actually a lot of reasons you can point to. So it used to be that small banks and community banks would be heavily invested in entrepreneurs and would take risks because they knew people in the communities and they knew the people that they were investing in.
They call that relationship banking. That's dying away.
There's been a consolidation in banking. Banks have become more conservative, but you can also point to issues around student debt loads.
The average 2016 grad has over $30,000 in student debt. That makes it a lot harder to take a risk and start a business. It also makes you a lot less creditworthy when you're applying for capital, when you're already carrying so much debt.
People are relying and moving more towards convenience and speed at the cost of community.
If I need to go buy something, I can just quickly go buy something online, and that changes everything.
And so we're living in a time where it's easy to be big, but hard to be small.
Even though numerically entrepreneurs are not very large of a group, they're a really important group because of what kind of chain reaction they create in the economy that benefits everybody.
There's a common perception that jobs come from big businesses, but the research shows that new jobs come from new businesses. In fact, almost all net new job creation comes from businesses created under 5 years ago.
Small businesses are responsible for creating 2 out of every 3 net new jobs. Half the private sector workforce works for a small business.
I think if we aren't able to resuscitate entrepreneurship in this country and really focus on strengthening and supporting entrepreneurs, we're not just going to lose the tangible stuff, the jobs, the economic opportunity, we're going to lose the soft stuff that actually has made this country so successful.
When you walk into a coffee shop and you can say hello and give a hug to the small business owner, I think it just builds that interaction.
That's more than just a shopping experience, right? It's more than just a transaction. It's actually a really nice, fun experience that enriches your life.
Small businesses exist because that community is their market. And so there's a symbiotic relationship. You can't take them apart.
Simply go to a park on a Sunday afternoon and look at the logos on the back of kids' baseball jerseys, right? You see all of these small businesses because they're the ones connected to those kids.
When you go into communities and see a thriving entrepreneurial culture, you see higher wage levels, less income inequality, less unemployment, healthier people, even less crime. And as a result, small business thrives, community thrives, but also vice versa. Community thrives, small business thrives.
Entrepreneurship is a community sport. It's actually something that entrepreneurs can't do alone. So it's not just the 3 out of 1,000 people that start businesses every month, it's the 997 that don't. Because what they do actually has a huge effect on the success of the 3. If someone starts a new business, try it out. If they open a new restaurant, be one of the first people to test it out.
It's not sufficient anymore to say, oh, we love our small business community. They're the backbone of our communities. but we don't do anything about it. Get to know your small business community. Take the chance to actually know their story.
We as consumers need to think about what's important to me. Is that main street important to me? If so, I can't just walk through it. I actually have to go spend my dollars there.
It's not just a city issue, it's a national issue, but I remain optimistic. I really believe that communities can come together and they will start to realize that small businesses are a key ingredient and a key part of the fabric of building a thriving community.